feedback, one of the first things I want to start off with was letting you know how much I appreciated your opening statement. You answered the question specifically, and you were able to give a number 1, 2, and 3 answer in support of how the activity was a landmark. I also was fascinated by the way you were able to pull in both national and international examples in support of the ratification process. And in regards to the small states' eagerness to ratify the Constitution, the economics and common defense were definitely major concerns, particularly for small states like Delaware, which provided access to Philadelphia for international trade, which was extremely important for our 2 states.
Yeah, I liked your opening statement. I also liked, I guess maybe it was, I'm not sure it was in the opening statement or in response to the question about the international precedent set. We've heard about the Lisbon Treaty, but I don't believe we've heard about the Philippines or the Swiss Federation yet this morning. So that was good. I thought that you were not real sure about the timing of the states. You were right about Pennsylvania and sort of the quick trigger in Pennsylvania, but you were not sure about New York. There's an argument that New York, which was started out with a largely anti-federalist majority, by the time they got around to actually voting, they perceived the ratification as pretty much a fait accompli in these other states and decided that they really had no choice but to ratify. And had they gone earlier in the process, there's a very good chance that New York would have voted against ratification. But you know, we're at a level of detail and sophistication that does not detract from the fact that I would only bring things like that up, given how well versed you are in this and how well you know this stuff. So it sort of allows us to get to that level of detail. Very, very impressive presentation.
I was very pleased with your presentation, both initial statement and a follow-up. I certainly liked your quotation. Now, I didn't say your citation of authorities. I like that too. But the quotations of Alexander Hamilton start off with, I don't think you could find a better quotation when you're talking about the ratification process and what he says in Federalist No. 1. And then to summarize with him, but then to conclude with Washington, saying that we are all citizens by birth or by choice, and that we went through a ratification process. So this Constitution is our Constitution. No more revolution going on. So that was a wonderful juxtaposition to those with slavery. I think he did an excellent job on that. Could have done more, but the time constraints are such. I like how you bring in, I mean, you were knowledgeable enough to bring in Josiah Atherton. I didn't say his name, but you said one New Hampshire delegate came out and said he favored this Constitution because of slavery. There are a lot of those people throughout the country, so you did a very good job there. I like the quotation of Federalist number 38, where you say we don't have to have a perfect Constitution, just one that's less imperfect than the Articles. What else here? The amendment process. James got it wrong. He said half and half. But Alexander comes back and corrects him. Not only does he correct him, does he say state convention, state legislation, but he says only one time did they use conventions. So he was right on the money. I forgot what James said. The Confederation Congress, there's a political process there. Bandwagon approach. The Federalists didn't want any opposition at all. Even though they totally controlled the Confederation Congress, they wanted unanimity. And they couldn't get unanimity with approbation, so they went for straight unanimity. And it gave the illusion that they were approving of the Constitution. Washington, replying to Madison, said, not everybody has the opportunity to peek behind the curtain and see what really happened. But we got that illusion that was there. One last thing here. Two things. One is Pennsylvania did a great job of that. Too quick. New York, well, you know, it's questionable with New York. I'm not sure what Julia meant by two-thirds of the way through. Is it meeting at a convention, or is it when they elected delegates, or when they, their legislature appointed the convention, which was in January, February, and then the election in April and May, and then the convention later on in June, when 3 other conventions are meeting, New Hampshire and Virginia. So they're all tied together, and they tried to work together. The only state really that tried to work with the other states and sent out letters. They had a committee of correspondence in essence. So I think you're absolutely right that New York was in the fray, and they did elect anti-federalists. It was only after the other states then did ratify that ratification was essential. So I think you were pretty much on the money there. And finally, the small states. The only other thing I would have added to that, I think you were absolutely right in what you said, was the Senate. Once the Senate gives equality of representation to the states, those small states feel justified. Delaware, its delegate was instructed, do not come back with a convention, a constitution, without equal representation. And looking at William Patterson in New Jersey, he proposes the New Jersey plan. But once equality of representation is in the Senate, there's no more ardent nationalist in that body than William Patterson. I would say it's quite obvious to us as judges here, to the audience here, that you did a fantastic job. And it's not surprising. You've been in this competition 3 years. You've won the state competition every year. That's an amazing thing, an amazing record. And it is a testament to the quality of teaching that you're getting. Not only your teacher, but also people that, like Mr. York, who assist in that. And so you and your teacher and coaches really deserve a round of applause.
Can let me just, I'm sorry to step on the applause line. I did one thing that John said, it reminded me of something I meant to add and didn't. I thought that your discussion of the slavery question, you know, the whole issue of slavery and the Constitution and the ratification is a fascinating one, but it's also a very difficult one to talk about. And I thought that you showed sensitivity and it was perceptive comment about maybe all that happened was that we put off for a couple of generations the ultimate resolution in the Civil War. But I did think also the observation that, you know, we're not choosing between, the choice was not between slavery and not slavery. The choice was between slavery was going to exist at that point under either regime, and was the Constitution a better way and the ultimate to eliminate it, and was it progress nonetheless? And so I was impressed by your treatment of that. Thank you. Now.